final thoughts on the game versus the Dolphins. Squish the Fish. We got the dub. And I want to give you my take on some of the things and give a coaching grade, which I think you guys are going to be a little surprised with. So, guys, let's get into it. All right, guys, as always, smash that like, sub. Please proliferate the videos out to other Charger fans, forums, you name it, right? We're trying to get out there and have as many quality conversations with Charger fans as much as possible. And I'll tell you what, guys, we do this channel because we want to communicate with the fans. We're not getting paid to do this. It's something we just do on the side. It's a lot of fun and engaging with the fan base. That's why we do this. So, again, let's get into the conversation on Staley's full transcript from Monday's availability with the media. So, all right, guys. So let me adjust the screen here. Okay, better. There we go. A little bit nicer looking. Okay, cool. So let's talk about Staley's transcript on Monday. Now, I will say this, guys, and I was going to talk about my first thoughts going into this. I want to discuss the grades of the offensive and defensive side of the ball, right? And by the way, I love that you're seeing people like Telesco in here, the Spanos family. Guys, this is huge. I mean, to me, I want to see this all the time. And just so you guys know, every victory speech, you always see these guys. They're usually always in the tunnel. They're there. And I just love it, right? I love that the group is so connected. And that's a big part of it. And it's a big part of Brandon Staley. So I'm going to give a grade on the offense and the grade on the defense. Offensively, this is going to shock you guys. I'm going to give it a B+. Can you believe that? I'm giving Lombardi a B+ grade. Whoa. I know, right? Now, I'm going to go into why I'm going to give him a B+, but I'll tell you what, he did a lot of really good things, and I'm going to talk about it a little later on through the notes. But I think a lot of man, a lot of motion, a lot of interesting little, formations, I think. Did a very good job calling a very good game, right? Now, I'm going to give this guy right here an A. Actually, I'm probably going to give him an A+, now that I think about it, because now I'm going to give him an A. I'm going to give him an A, not an A+, right? It wasn't a perfect game offensively or defensively, but I will say this. Brandon Staley really showed me a lot this week with all the injuries and everything that he did. I'm going to go into the notes. I'm going to go into the notes specifically on the defensive side of the ball with as many people out as we had. And he came up with a game plan that was absolutely solid and shut down the Fish, of course, as you saw. And again, the score, we could have held them to a field goal, guys. Like literally that fluke fumble. And then that touchdown to Tyreek Hill after Mike Davis had fallen over, right? I mean, bottom line, those were just fluke plays. They should not have happened, but they did. So, again, I'm gonna go into the defensive game plan because I did a lot of research on specifically what he did. I've watched a lot of analysts talk about it, and I really understand now specifically what he did and how he simplified the defense and why we were so prolific in stopping the pass and really even stopping the run, quite frankly, which I thought was very interesting. So again, we're going to go into that. So let's go into the notes. And I got a couple other videos that I'm going to talk about. Eric Smith's got a couple of cool little articles that I want to talk about, maybe on Thursday or Friday. If we don't go live with my brother James, not quite sure, but we'll see. Either way, guys, let's get into the notes, right? So the notes are pretty good. They're really extensive. And the one thing I will say, and again, before I go into this, the one thing I will say about Brandon Staley, he's very good at why he does things. I had an interesting thought last night. Couldn't sleep as per usual. I'm a horrible insomniac, but I was laying in bed and I was sitting there thinking about Brandon Staley. Laying in bed thinking about Brandon Staley. Guys, I realize how that's as I'm saying it right now. I'm thinking about Brandon Staley the way he coached, right? Okay, let me just scratch that, reverse it. But just understand he was doing a lot of really good things and he made a lot of really good adjustments in this game, right? And again, we're going to go into those specifically. But one of the things that I think is really interesting when you look at his post-game interview, right? And he talked about specifically the defense. And one of the media folks asked him, "Hey, well, you guys basically ran the same defense as the Niners," and he took offense to that. He was not really hyped on that conversation because, and he really is we really did not run exactly the same thing, and we're going to go into as to why. But basically, what the Niners did is they ran basically cover three, which is ultimately what Gus Bradley did, but they dropped a lot of their linebackers back because the Dolphins work the middle of the field because they have so much speed and they can break zone coverage, right? And the NFL is doing a lot of zone coverage. So Brandon Staley came in with a completely different game plan. Now, what I found interesting, and I was thinking about this a lot when I couldn't sleep last night. I'm rambling a little bit here, but it was interesting to me how he basically broke down how to beat the Dolphins. Okay, think about that for just a second, guys. I wonder what the etiquette is on that, right? Think about that for just a second. He literally said, well, this is how we beat them. Now, they're playing the Bills. The Bills probably will do something very similar to what we did and what the Niners did. Now, again, the NFL is a copycat league. That's why teams do well at the beginning, sometimes sputter at the end, and they're not adjusting. Specifically what Brandon Staley did, and again, I'm going to go into why we beat the Dolphins, at least from his perspective. But I just find it interesting that he's basically giving the game plan to the other teams that are going to be playing the Dolphins, how to beat them offensively or defensively, how to beat their offense. I just thought that was really interesting. Now, again, we all know Tyreek was hurt. He was definitely limping. He definitely didn't have his full speed. Tua had some sort of ankle injury, so maybe it was worse than, anticipated. But again, he ran the ball. He did okay. Anyways. So I just thought that was really interesting how Brandon Staley is so open and talks so much about game plans and scheming. And you got to wonder what the etiquette is. Like, can you really say that? Should you say that? Is that off-putting? Is that a bad thing? Is he going to get a bad reputation for saying, hey, this is exactly how we beat this team? I don't know. I'm really curious. What do you guys think in the comments below? If that's, a no-no or not. Now, I will say this, guys. Now, there's one person I also want to highlight on this picture as well too. And this is our man right here, Tom Telesco. I understand the argument that, some of his picks have not been great. Jerry Tiller is a great example, but you know what? I see someone like a Jaw Taylor, Ja'Sir Taylor, man, that guy, he came out, he just balled it. He came out and made things awesome. Now, again, is it all Tom Telesco? No, but at the end of the day, he's the GM. He's the one picking these people, right? And, drafting them. And so, again, with Brandon Staley and Telesco and our scouting staff, I think they did a very good job. And we're going to talk more about Ja'Sir Taylor in the notes below too. I'm already at almost 10 minutes, guys. I'm sorry. I'm rambling on like crazy here at this point, but there's a lot to cover here and a lot of things for me to say. So, all right, let's finally get into it. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Joey Bosa. Look, he's a day-to-day type of situation. Again, they talk about Joey Bosa again later on in the article, which I thought was kind of interesting. But, there is some discussion he may come back this week. I kind of doubt it, but, who knows? We'll definitely see what happens. Who knows? I think anything's possible. Yada, yada. He talks quite a bit about this. Now, all right, so let's get into the defense and get into specifically what we did to beat and squish the fish. Okay. Because it was pretty interesting. I'm gonna do a deeper video on this as well. And I really should do a video on Justin Herbert as well, too. Maybe we'll talk about Herbert on Friday when James and I go live. Because I want to kind of go into specifically, the records he's broken, what he's done in his first 3 years. Just do a real quick recap of how good he's been. Anyway, so let's go into that. We'll go to that maybe on Friday. I'm kind of thinking out loud at this point. Now, the couple things that I will say here on the defense disguise what they were doing quite a bit. Now, I will say this. I kind of get that. I think we did a lot more disguises this game specifically because we had so many players that were out, right? We didn't have Derwin James out there. We didn't have Sebastian Joseph Day. And we all kind of knew going into this game, they were just going to run the ball up the middle and we weren't going to stop them, right? We kept them off the field like crazy. But again, I think we did a very good job of disguising some of the defense. And it was pretty much the same defense over and over again. They did not change things a whole lot up. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little later on. But again, as Brandon Staley says, it's a big part of why we play. It's the post-snap rotation. So when you're moving people around, showing blitz, dropping people back. And one of the things the Niners did very well was they dropped their linebackers back. You saw that a lot with K9 and Drew Tranquil. they were just batting paths up the middle. And the reason why that happens is because they have so much damn team speed. Up the middle's usually open, right? And that's where you get the most vertical type of plays. So my point is, you know, we had to handle things very differently. So we did drop a lot of linebackers back, as you guys saw, but we also did a lot of, we played pretty physical up front. I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But again, you try and coordinate, you disguise what you think is going to be there. And good, you have to say Mike McDaniel's did a great job of coaching up Tua, because Tua, I don't know if you guys know this, but he was actually leading passing efficiency. I think he had like a 113 passer rating coming into this game. And, we shut him down. I think he was at 35, 35 is horrible, right? And so, Mike McDaniel did a good job. And again, this is my argument again with Joe Lombardi, is that Mike McDaniel came in and made Tua a better quarterback. Again, my argument with Lombardi is I don't know that Joe Lombardi is making Justin Herbert a better quarterback. Okay. That's always been my frustration with Joe Lombardi in a nutshell. And Mike McDaniel did a very good job of creating an offense around Tua to make him a better quarterback. And I think that's why we saw them this year do so well. But anyways, it's pretty interesting to see how that played out. Anyways, they had to be very well coordinated. Safeties, linebackers, star DBs, Jasir Taylor did a really nice job. And I cannot say enough about Jaw Taylor. Actually, and we did also see Leonard out there a little bit. He was mostly playing dime, but he was out there a little bit also. So it's good to see these rookies get some playing time, right? It's good to see. It's good to see, right? And we're going to go into those injuries. They might see some more playing time again next week. So it's going to be interesting. So, okay, so this gets into the meat of how we beat them. And I want to sit on this for a little bit and then, talk about this one. On the amount of man coverage. Now, again, on our post-game show, we talked about us playing a lot of man. Well, this is interesting because Brandon Staley specifically says it was not man. Good question. We played a pattern match coverage. So that's a zone and a breakdown for you. It's quantified as a zone, but it's going to play like man-to-man a lot, which I think is very true. Because, again, my argument with zone in the NFL has always been that you play far off of the wide receiver and they can find those open spots in the zone. They could do screens. They could do just quick little passes, and they break the zone coverage, right? But it's kind of a bend, don't break type of situation. But what we did this week is get physical with them at the line. So they basically came up. I noticed Drew Tranquil even hit Tyreek Hill a few times. He was literally up at the line, just hit him, just push him. You can do that. Okay, you just can't hold him for a long time, but you just get in his face, smack his chest, get him to move a little off, right? And again, what that would do, and I think what it really did, it didn't really affect Tyreek specifically in his route running. It was more affecting Tua in his timing with Tyreek. That was the issue. Now, again, the other thing that we exposed with our defense is that we're basically showing that, look, if you can stop Tyreek, you're not going to have much of an offense at that point, right? And that's really what we did. Now, again, you could argue, well, he did get 2 touchdowns. Yes, he did. One off a fluke play and one off another fluke play because, Mike Davis fell over. But, again, get physical at the line and then drop back, right? And that's what they did. And so, look, and I just really felt like it went well. Now, again, he basically says that this is kind of how he was with the Rams as well. He's like, well, you're a heavy zone team. I've always thought the Chargers as being more of a heavy zone team. So I think it's really interesting that we're talking about pattern match coverage. So I'm going to do a little bit more research on this specifically and see if I can do a quick video kind of explaining this a little bit more detail. But I mean, for my personal edification, but at the end of the day, I like understanding the way that Brandon Staley thinks about this. But again, in short, get physical at the line, cover your man as much as you possibly can, but you have 2 safeties up top. To basically make sure that nothing gets behind them, right? That's the whole point. Anyways, but we're a pattern match zone team. So he's literally coming out and saying that's what we are. Now, the interesting thing about that is I keep asking myself this question. I remember when J.C. Jackson was out there, well, he didn't play that very well from what I saw, right? He really struggled to play man or even play zone. So he just couldn't quite figure out how to do this. I think he's more of a man guy, period. So, when JC Jackson comes back sometimes next year, I would just put him up on his guy. You just take your number one guy off the field, or maybe the number two guy off the field, and then have your second best corner man him up, and then have cover safety help up top, right? So you can kind of mix and match how that plays. But anyways, so again, going into this as well, it doesn't play like zone. You're dropping to a spot. There's a bunch of air in the covers. We didn't play that way. Our goal was to be close to them. Again, get physical at the line. Whether we were in pattern, match-to-match zone, or man-to-man, we played healthy amount of both, which I agree with. I think they did play a lot of man, and I actually like us playing man a little more, especially like Mike Davis. I think Mike Davis is just like a J.C. Jackson. He's a poor man version of J.C. Jackson. I will tell you that I think think about this. If we had Mike Davis and J.C. Jackson on the field, guys, come on. Because I really like Mike Davis. Mike Davis has played very physical, and he does a really good job. J.C. Jackson is very physical too. So I like the fact that if we had those guys out there, we would definitely be playing this better. I just think J.C. Jackson sort of struggled to sort of understand the concepts. But again, we played close to them, and they were very physical. They just did not let them do it. Now, I'm going to go into why. Whether we're in pattern, match-to-match, so we played a healthy amount of both last night, and the tape will reflect when you watch it. I don't know the exact numbers right now, but I think you'll see a healthy amount of both is what I'm talking about. So 50-50, which is pretty good. We certainly did not want, this is the point. Okay, well, why do the defense that way, right? We certainly did not want them running through S, right? And that's exactly my argument on zone. The problem with zone has always been they can find a hole. And if you look at really the way the Dolphins offense is schemed up, they find holes in zones, right? And a lot of teams play zone. And now again, guys, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to watch the Bills game. I promise you the Bills are going to try and emulate what the Niners did and what we did to beat the Dolphins. So it'll be really interesting to see how they play. We certainly did not want them running through the areas. We felt like they become just really, really tough to cover. And he's exactly right. Because the problem is if you're not jamming into the line or moving them a different way, you're not going to stop them in any way, right? They're just going to find holes. They're good enough to find holes. They know how to do that. So anyways, I thought that was really interesting. Play action on offense. And actually, we talked quite a bit about that. And again, this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about Joe Lombardi. I think Joe Lombardi did a very good job of mixing things up. I think there was a lot of motion. There was a lot of moving the pocket, rolling Justin Herbert out. Justin Herbert squeezed out. He used his legs a lot more. I think that's when Justin Herbert at his best. I really feel like he's not – I wouldn't say he is a pocket passer, but I think he works better when he moves around, right? Because the nice thing about that also is that it makes the linebacker have to spy him specifically because he can run. He's got good legs, right? He's fast. So again, with him moving in pocket and running these RPO plays, which quite frankly, he's not really running the option on it, right? He's not tucking it and running frequently, if at all. In fact, I can't even think of a time he really did it this year at all. It does open up the play action, right? And that's what Phil Rivers thrived on was play action pass. So anyways, I thought it was really interesting. So definitely is more what we want to play. Because again, if you're doing play action, you're getting a half step for those linebackers to be holding, then you can open up the deeper, passing routes. Right? It's the whole point of the play action, right? If you can run the ball, they have to respect the run. They have to play closer into the box, opens up the passing lanes, and that's how you start beating people, right? And again, we could talk about Joe Lombardi's offense across the board. The problem is his offense is really based on beating the man in front of you, right? And that's why a Keenan Allen, a Mike Williams and a Josh Palmer is so important because there's no way any team can cover all three of those guys. You definitely can't double cover all three of those guys. And so it makes it very difficult for them to match up. So anyways, so my whole point is the play action really opens up the pass, and that's what you saw, right? And again, that's a big reason why we were so successful. Plus, again, having Williams and Allen on the field. It was the first time all season they've been on the field since, I think, week 1, right? So it was just really amazing to me. So anyways, anytime you can live that way, it's really good. Herbert's, anyways, they talk a lot about that. We really didn't check down a whole lot this game as well, too, which I thought was great. And again, having Mike Williams back was way. Corey Linsley, cannot say enough about this guy, man. Look, I said this before, all the problems with this team happened when Corey Linsley went out, right? He is that good, guys. I am such a believer in Corey Linsley, right? And you have to think about what he does as a center. He's the one that throws up the protection schemes. He's the one that moves the pockets left and right. Now, again, Justin Herbert can always say, no, I don't want that to happen. And by the way, Herbert did audible quite a bit this week, which I thought was great. Again, it's one of the things that I keep saying that Herbert needs to continue doing is taking control of the offense. He did a lot of that. So I thought that was really good. And again, Corey Linsley did a good enough job helping the running game. Again, we got a lot of rookies out there, man. Left tackle, right tackle, Zion Johnson. We got 3 rookies out there. 3 rookies. And dude, there's 2 veterans on that field, guys. And that's why when a Will Clapp's out there, you just don't get the same type of production, right? So having Corey Linsley back, man, I just hope he could stay healthy all season, man. The rest, we need him. We need him. So, anyways, what are your thoughts on Corey Linsley, right? Because I sit back and I just think about him, to me, week 2, when he went out, then Trey Pipkins went out, and then Justin Herbert had his cracked ribs. Oh my God. I mean, that was just huge for me, right? That just destroyed the season for us for the most part, right? So very interesting to see. So, and by the way, Jasir Taylor. So I will tell you, one of the big knocks against Bryce Callahan is that he's hurt a lot. Well, he got hurt finally. But holy smokes, Jasir Taylor came in and did such a great job. Now I'm going to read a good majority of this because, again, it goes back to what I already said about Tom Telesco here, guys. Say what you want to say about Tom Telesco. I've never been a big believer that it's really the general manager's faults, right? There's a lot of people behind the scenes that make decisions on draft picks. And I really believe they do a lot of work to pick players. And the thing that I have loved about the Chargers is we don't have cantankerous players in the locker room. Everyone on the Chargers football team are likable people, great attitudes, and they're good players that can do multiple things, right? And this is a great example of it right here. So I'm going to show this. So in my opinion, I think Tom Telesco he does a good job. I could argue he's probably not the best GM in the league, sure. But again, I would also argue you don't have to be the best GM in the league, right? Especially when you have someone like a Brandon Staley who's there really telling people who we should go get anyways or who he wants. He did that. So anyways, let's go into this. He has a lot of characteristics we value in the secondary, and that's why we drafted him. A lot of legwork and pre-draft. Now, I don't know how much really that is the case, but they probably knew that they could get him late in the draft. Very competitive, really smart, instinctive player, DB characteristics, yada, yada. Here's the thing that I do like about this. He kind of has the DB characteristic that you look for in terms of being able to be a versatile corner, star, money, safety. Safety, money. Probably do all that. He's a good special teams player, and we've seen that already this whole season. He's done a fantastic job in special teams. I mean, we saw him blitz. He blitzed. Yeah. Tackle, zone coverage. He was all over the field. And, for a damn rookie, that is awesome, guys. And I've said this time and time again. When you see a Jamari Sawyer step in, dude, left tackle, guys, 6th-round draft pick. He steps in, and you really don't miss a beat from a Pro Bowl left tackle. Dude, guys, that's huge. Again, say what you want to say about Tom Telesco. But look, first and foremost, this guy right here, Zion Johnson, our 1st-round pick, has been an absolute stud. Tom Telesco picked him first. Well, Brandon Staley probably, but also Jamari Sawyer. Actually, where's Jamari? I thought I saw him in this photo. No, he's not here. But then, Jasir Taylor. The one that I will say that's been a bit of a bust is JT Woods. I've been a little bit frustrated with him, but, we'll see what happens with him specifically. And I think part of the reason why he's not out there is that our safeties had a really good game. I think they did a very good job, playing together, which I thought was really interesting. So anyhow, I thought Jaw was definitely one of the reasons why we won the football game. And let me just say this too, went after him a lot, right? They say, hey, he's a rookie. Let's go beat this guy up. And they didn't beat him. I think there was 2 plays I think Waddle got that I saw. But other than that, man, he pretty much shut everybody down. So anyways, this is pretty interesting. I don't want to talk to you about this. Our run defense was getter. Again, there was just a couple scrambles. But look, I really think we did fairly well. Kyle Villeneuve got a sack. I thought that was really great. He looks like he's finally making some moves to be an edge rusher. My argument is that he's just not fast enough. I think that's his biggest problem. He just does not have that get up and go. But, trying to scheme things open for Khalil Mack. Rump did okay, yada, yada. But, man, we really are missing Joey Bosa. That's why people keep asking about him specifically. And then Morgan Fox. The thing about Morgan Fox is he's a better version of Jerry Tillery, in my opinion. Jerry Tillery, was supposed to be a Morgan Fox. Tillery was supposed to be the guy that would come out there and really be a pass rusher on the defensive line up the middle. But Morgan Fox just does it so much better. And that sack he got on Tua was absolutely amazing. I mean, just amazing. So, Chris Hinton, Tyler Davidson, they were all stout. I think they did. I was blown away, and Tyler actually did fairly well from what I could see. But Kenneth Murray did great. Drew Tranquil did great. Look, I think overall the defense got a game ball. The defense got a game ball. I don't know if you guys saw the post game show, but the defense got a game ball. I'll actually link it in the description below. Take a look at it. So, I mean, I can't say enough about everybody. And again, this guy just here, Taylor. In fact, I thought he would have gotten a game ball. I thought he didn't. But maybe the entire defense was probably good. But, I'm really hoping that we see a little bit more of this production again next week because it's going to be tough. We're going to be playing the Titans, pretty damn good team, but they are reeling a little bit. So it'd be really interesting to see how we play them moving forward this next week. All right, Khalil Mack. I don't really want to go too into this. Look, at the end of the day, he's getting double teamed. It's just, they just know as far as a pass rush is concerned, you just got to stop Mack. It's until we get Bosa back, I just would not expect much to happen there. And again, I've said this over and over again. If we could have had Bosa and Mack out there the entire season, who knows what we'd be record wise? I mean, it's just so big not having them both out there, which is really pretty tough. That that late fumbled snap, which was just absolutely ridiculous to me. It's one of the craziest plays I think I've ever seen. Right? The football gods, you never know what they're thinking. And again, we were right there at the goal line, about to put the game away. And, it was just amazing seeing what they did. The onside kick was about another freak attack. You guys talked about it ad nauseam in our chat thread on our post-game show with Bolt Dad. I thought that was really interesting. Anyways, but I really like the way the team hustled in general. I really think that's what got us the game. I mean, we can talk about coaching all day, and I think the coaching staff did a very good job of getting our team ready, but our players still went and executed, right? I think the defense said, hey, nobody believes in us, but we believe in each other. Let's go out and make it happen. And they just kicked ass. And it was just so excited to see, all the above. And the one thing I will say about this too, and this is the thought that I had on this, it's good to see some of these damn fumbles go our way for a damn change, right? How many times as Charger fans have we seen the fumble hits the ground and he just goes to them and they win the damn game? Or we don't get we're the one team the entire season in the NFL that the other team gets a recovered onside kick, things of that nature, right? That's the Chargers. And so it's good to see these things, kind of go our direction for a change, which I think is pretty cool. So I do like he said the football gods here, right? That's a lot to be said. And again, we are the turnover margin right now. I think we're +5 now at this point, which is great, and that's awesome. And one of the things I'll also say too, ball security has been great too. I was watching, Williams and I was watching Allen quite a bit, and they did a really good job of hold all as they were about to take any type of punishment or any type of hit. I remember watching also Monday Night Football, the Patriots and the Cardinals, and DeAndre Hopkins. When that game fell off the rails for the Cardinals was really when DeAndre Hopkins fumbled that ball. And, again, that was just ball security. He didn't do a good job, and he lost the game. Well, it wasn't just him, of course, but, it was an issue. So ball security is huge. I like that our team is getting very good at that for the most part. We're protecting the ball. Rashawn Slater, I don't really want to go too deep into this. There's a potential for him to return. I think he will probably return, but it would be very late in the season. Maybe the last couple of games, who knows? Maybe playoffs, who knows as well too. Same thing with Joey Bosa. I think Bosa has a shot of coming in this week. I will say this. I don't think they want to push it too much, but I'm telling you right now, even a half Bosa would be better than a full, Kyle Van Noy, quite frankly. Kyle Van Noy has been good, but not great. And so it'd be interesting to see how that would play out. And it would be interesting to see also if Bosa came back, what they would do with Kyle Van Noy. I would be curious to see if they would move him to sort of like a Morgan Fox type of position, or maybe they'll make him run middle linebacker a little bit as well, too, because I think he's probably better than Kenneth Murray to some degree. I think he's a better coverage quarter or a linebacker than Kenneth Murray. So it would be interesting to see what would happen if Bosa comes back, but we'll see. But he's healing well, again. So we'll see where it comes back with. Again, they talk more about Rashawn Slater. I thought this was pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys saw, but if you watch the post game show, he spiked the ball. I'll talk a little bit more about that down here as well too. But I'm like going to interpret what Justin would feel. I'm just going to let him interpret his feelings for you guys. I'm sure that would be a fun process. Look, Herbert's a competitor, man. And the one thing that I have loved about him, he does not have an ego, right? And I could really point finger at a lot of guys in the NFL that I think just have egos, and they're there just, oh, I'm the best guy in the world, blah blah blah, whatever. But Justin doesn't play that way, right? He knows that it takes a team to succeed. And it's a big part of it, right? You can't win individually, right? And I think Justin Herbert knows that. But I think probably what he was also feeling here was, hey, my guys are back on the field, right? He's not going to come out and say, oh, it's nice that I don't have to throw the ball 7 times to DeAndre Carter or, Mike Bandy, or check down to Austin Eckler, right? I can move the ball downfield with authority with, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Those guys are just special, and they know how to work together. So knock on wood, I hope they stay healthy the rest of the season. Anyways, his teammates are a big thing. There's a lot of things I could discuss on that specifically. I'm already over 30 minutes, guys. Let me get close to wrapping this up, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Anyways, I don't want to talk too much into this. I don't know. This whole Herbert to conversation just kind of bothers me. I just kind of feel like they're really not the same type of quarterbacks. That's not good, bad, or indifferent, but at the end of the day, I think that I don't know. It's a little weird to me. I'm tired of this conversation of who does what, right? Because I think I was arguing with one of the Raider fans on one of the videos, and they were talking about how Justin Herbert's like a 5th or 10th ranked quarterback in the league. I'm like, you are absolutely crazy. He's like, Joe Burrow's better. I'm like, look, no, Joe Burrow's got, Jamar Chase. And, this entire season, Herbert's had a lot of scrubs out there, right? He hasn't had people to throw the ball to. And so, I just think what Herbert has gone through, cracked ribs and all, beat up offensive line, everything he has done, guys, he has every right to have every bit of celebration after that game, because he kicked ass. He had his team back, and I thought that was great. It was just awesome, Anyways, I thought the 2-minute, offense at the end was awesome. We just did a great job. Anyways, and Tua's a great quarterback too. I think Tua's great. But again, what we showed in this game specifically defensively is we exposed their offense. So it'll be very interesting to see. My prediction, if you guys are betting, I would probably say you should probably bet against the Fish next week. I do think the Bills will probably beat them, but you never know. You'll see what happens. But it's interesting. Let's see. So, I think the red zone has been a bit of an issue for us this season. I don't want to go too deep into this as well, too. And we might want to talk about this more on Friday. I think I would like to go into this a little more. I will say this. Joe Lombardi did a really good job of red zone calls. The one that actually scored, I actually disliked that call when we ran it to the left side. Guess who was there? Storm Norton. And I didn't expect us to score there, but, Austin Eckler was just not going to be denied, and he got that touchdown. So it was just really awesome to see, what we did. Now, one thing I will say, Brandon Staley did say that at the end of the performance that he said we can play better. He actually said we did not execute in all 3 phases of the games, and one of it was because of the red zone. We did not score enough in the red zone. Scoring isn't even touchdowns. And I really believe that. I think we can be a lot better now. There were some schemes that he did well. Now, that one to DeAndre Carter where he threw the ball when DeAndre was in motion, I thought that was a great play call. DeAndre Carter just slipped. And I think if he stayed upright, caught that ball, made one move, he only had to beat one guy, and we would have scored. So I like that play call. I like what we saw, and I like the moxie this team is continuing to show anyways as well too. But again, did pretty well on penalties. We did pretty good things. Anyways, let's go to injury updates, and then we'll wrap up here pretty soon. Bryce Callahan, Sebastian Joseph Day, Trey Pipkins will be at practice this week, which is great. So all three of these guys will most likely be back. You'll see them practice Thursday. Derwin James is still day-to-day. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious to see if Derwin James plays. I'm kind of a believer in keeping him out with the way that our two safeties played this last week. I think Gilman and Nas showed some things. So I'm kind of okay with them maybe keeping Derwin out for another week, if possible. But, who knows, right? The one thing that you learn about this coaching staff specifically is they're not going to rush people back. They keep talking about Bosa and all this and that. And it's very clear they're not going to rush people back because they don't want people getting hurt, right? You don't want to see a second injury, and that just starts getting, more difficult, right? So I'm going to leave this with a little bit more of partially my thoughts. Now, everything I saw, final drive with Haley and Haley, Haley, hit me up, girl. You got my number. Message me. Let's make this happen. Anyways, apparently the week of practice, everyone knew all these guys are going to be out, and everyone just counted them out. They suck. The Fish are going to squish the Chargers, yada, yada. I think the defense came together and said, look, let's shut them up. They did, right? That's one of the things that SJD did a really good job. Or not SJD, pardon me. Asante Samuel Jr. Did a really good job of, I guess his family even came out and said, yeah, we don't think you're going to win, yada, yada. That was really interesting. So, and this is a good point. And I'm going to end with this, and then we'll go from there. Defining the plan, make sure your guys really understand why we're doing everything and what we're doing. One of the things Brandon Staley I really do like doing, putting them through the paces. Now, again, they basically made things very simple. Jam the line, stay on your man, you got safety coverage up top. Jam the line, stay on your man, you got safety coverage up top. Jam the line, cover your man, and you got safety coverage up top. Again, I'm a big believer we should play that way every week. And again, we showed that we are very good that way. And I don't know why we don't play it as often. I get the concept of zone. I do get the concept of zone. And it's hard with certain things. But I think also we knew we pretty much just needed to stop Waddle and also Tyreek Hill. So in short, what we saw here is they kept things very simple. Okay. Jam them at the line and safety coverage up top. And that was pretty much the game plan from what I saw. And then drop your linebackers, right? So K9 and right up the middle. They did a really good job of breaking up a few passes. So anyways, there's a whole lot there. As a coach, I'm never going to take that for granted that they played really. I thought that we played for each other and thought that's why they were able to win the game, right? I really do believe that the scheme that they came up with was very simplified, very easy, very simple. And again, it was kind of a mix between zone and man, which I thought was a nice little mix. So interesting to see if that's how it goes moving forward. Michael Davis kicked ass, man. I tell you what, dude, I've been very interested with him. He did a great job. He's been taking that fight to the opponent and playing with confidence. We love coaching him. I don't know if you guys realize, but there was some talk about Mike Davis being let go because we did sign J.C. Jackson, and it was like, okay. And look, this guy always battles, man. This guy always battles, and I'm so appreciative. He went to BYU. I saw him play quite a bit in college, but he steps up to the challenges that he goes out there. Again, there's so much I could talk about here. One of the biggest things here, again, on limiting the Dolphins offense, again, jam them at the line, cover your man, safety help up top. That was the game plan, guys. That really was the game plan. We really didn't even stack the box, which kind of I actually expected us to stack the box a little bit more, but we really didn't do that. Um, Anyways, so again, you don't want these guys running free. They really just made sure they did not running free, and they tried to limit the timing from Tua. Right? They just didn't allow him to feel comfortable, or hey, oh, this guy's going to be here at this time. It's a big part of the NFL is really timing patterns and making sure this guy is here at that right time. He did a great job. I really love how he did. I think he really solidified his spot the second on the team. But really should see what happened with Sony Michel. I haven't seen him at all out there. But JK has done a great job. Interesting seeing him perform well. A better true running back than an Austin Eckler. I do kind of suspect we may see some more Josh Kelly this next game as well too. I think he did a very good job, and some of these cutbacks he made were very good. So, anyways, 4 sacks. It was kind of interesting. One of the interesting things I thought about right here was our boy on the other side of the ball. What was his name? Phillips. Yeah, Jalen Phillips. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but he grew up a Charger fan, and he was there. LT was his biggest fans. LT was actually at the game, so he grew up a Charger fan. So it was really interesting seeing, Jalen have a great game, and anyways, it was really interesting seeing how that worked out. I think we did enough, but for having 3 rookies online, we did a good enough job. And I think this is where Herbert's really good. He's good at moving. And this is why I think moving him outside the pocket, bootlegs, shifting the line, those are good things in the game plan. I think and Lombardi did a good job of that this game. It's one of the things that I've been very frustrated with because I just feel like we're just doing this base protection. And I don't think that works very well with Justin Herbert. So again, there's a lot more we could discuss here on this. But yeah, go ahead and take a look at that. I thought this was funny too. Herbert spiked the ball. This was basically NBC Night Football. That's the ball he was given. So he walked in with it and he just spiked it on the ground, which I thought was really interesting. So, yeah, I think that, but this kind of says a lot to me about Justin Herbert specifically. I don't think he cares about accolades. He just wants to get better and he wants to play with a good team, a good team around him. And I find that really interesting because, a lot of players, they play with a lot of ego. I think Justin Herbert really doesn't care about that. Herbert just wants to get better and wants to continue challenging himself and playing with people that he wants to play with. And so, anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, here we go. This is kind of funny. Yeah, anyway, let's talk about, I don't want to talk about that. Talk about this forced fumble. That was kind of interesting. I thought that was kind of a whole weird fluky situation. All right, I'm going to wrap up here, guys. This video is getting very long. I'm getting extremely long-winded. But look, again, Brandon Staley, I'm giving him an A on this. I think his defensive game plan was absolutely amazing. Did a great job with a lot of holes in that defense. But I want to continue to see us play with that type of conviction. Whether Derwin James can play or not this week, I want to see those guys out there, play and hustle the way they did. Secondarily, Joe Lombardi did a very good job. I think I gave him a B+. And I think he did a very good job of moving the pocket, keeping Herbert as clean as he possibly could with 3 rookies on the line. But bottom line, guys, it was a great team win. I still think we can improve. That's the one thing that I will say about this team specifically. This team still has so much more upside potential. So much more upside potential. But it's interesting seeing how we're playing right now. And the good news is we're playing at the time it matters. Hopefully getting a playoff spot moving forward. I'll tell you right now, it's looking good. Right now, the Dolphins don't look great. Okay? Right now, the Jets don't look amazing, right? Looks like they're might have Zach Wilson back in there. He's a BYU guy, but he hasn't been playing awesome. Mike White doesn't look amazing, so who knows? The Bills aren't looking incredible. But who does look good is the damn Chiefs, right? So, and again, we've played them down to the wire. So if we see them in the playoffs, I feel pretty confident that we have an opportunity to beat them. So, I mean, if we could play the way we played against the Dolphins, right? So the next one is going to be the Titans. I'm very curious to see how that plays out, right? But I like the physicality that we saw in that game, and I think it's a good thing. So it's good to see our coaching staff do a good job of motivating these guys to step up and kick ass. So, guys, what do you guys think? I know this is getting a little long. This is a 45-minute video here, but guys, what do you guys think? How do you think we coached, right? What would you grade Lombardi and Brandon Staley specifically? Would you give them the same grades I gave them? But guys, as always, Andrew Boltbros here. See you guys in the next one.